Hello, everyone. Welcome to the technical training about IDOneTouch, especially about Terminal Manager software installation and configuration. So today we will cover those topics. So how to install, first of all, Terminal Manager and the software itself to work with our biometric readers, how to configure with PaperCut MEF, how to apply a license, of course, to our software, and at the end, how to redeem the reader's credits that we have associated with each reader that we provide. Okay. First of all, and as you know, any kind of documentation and even the installers are available in our website. Okay, which is what we will do to show you exactly the process that you will be experiencing. So we will access our website. We will show you where is the documentation, because we already previously download the information, on this case, the installers that we need for today. So let's switch first of all to our VM test, which is this one. So let's go to our biometric website. Okay. If you don't have any kind of credentials to log in here, please reach us through our email, which is support@cctech.pt. Okay. Otherwise, if you already have it, you just need to press login, type your username and password that was provided to you, and then we are in and we are seeing everything about IDOneTouch itself. So for the installation, what we need: IDOneTouch Database Manager portable, okay, to have the ability to create the database structure. Okay. You also have the manual for this one as well. Okay, and the IDOneTouch Terminal Manager installation here, which contains the service that we will use, but it also contains another parallel app, which is exactly the same, but the service is not included on that one. So that specific one that doesn't have the service is only to be used on any workstation to manage it on a daily basis. Okay. So basically, you don't need to access each time that you need to do something, for example, on the software. You don't need to access directly where the service is running exactly to do any kind of change. Okay. So here is the one, and you also have the manual for the terminal manager as well. Okay. So we already have downloaded previously. It was just to show you where is exactly the information. You also have on this section the latest firmware and the tool to upgrade as well the readers. Okay. So this will be always updated as soon there is a new firmware version available, but we will let you know as well through our newsletters when something is new. And you also have the matrix compatibility here per brand that is supported with our biometric reader as well. Okay, so let's go to the installation. We have here two folders. We already have previously installed SQL Express, so don't forget to install and do the usual configurations for SQL as well. So we have Database Manager. We need to install this one. Quite easy. And meanwhile, this one is running. Let's do this one as well. So this is what we will install today, because we are showing you the installation on a server. Okay, we are using a Windows 10 workstation, but for the demonstration, it's the necessary for you to be able to see how to install. Okay, the terminal one on this case is the only one that you need to install on a specific workstation on the end customer, for example. Okay, just to manage the software itself. Okay, so this one doesn't contain the service which will be the responsible to communicate with the readers as well. Okay, so be careful to install the correct one on the server. So let's install this one as well. Okay, it's installed. Let's open the management studio and create the database. So we will add this one to a specific user. Okay. In SQL, you can still have the ability to associate a domain account, for example, if the customer doesn't allow to create any SQL user on this case. On this specific scenario, the logic is the same. If you are using a SQL server for PaperCut MEF, okay, to be more easier, just add the same user here and set the DB owner permission to the IDOneTouch database. Okay, if PaperCut is running on a customer and the only way to have an external database running is by using a Windows domain account, then you can do exactly the same here for the database itself. Don't forget as well to change the service to be running under that user account as well, because it's the same purpose in PaperCut MEF. So we will log in here as a local account. Remember now password. Let me check. It's this one. Yeah, correct. So let's create a new database. First of all, sorry, let me check users. So let's suppose that we already have a PaperCut user because we already have PaperCut installed. Okay, it's not on this specific VM, but it doesn't matter. So user is created. And now let's create the database. So IDOneTouch and the owner for this database. Okay, so when the user is created before, you can quickly add the user that you want here in Management Studio. Okay, it's done. Now let's run the DB utility, which is responsible to create the database structure. Okay, so let's select install. Let's use PaperCut installation. Okay, here be careful to type the correct SQL SQL server. Okay, this information usually is displayed here Okay. So it's exactly the same name. It's very important to be exactly the same, especially because of the PaperCut integration. Okay, because it will have a specific trigger on the sorry, on the table, the user table in PaperCut. Okay, so that's why it's very, very important. Let me just check one thing. Hang on. Okay, so as soon as we have the correct server here, so we will type the DB owner PaperCut user, okay, which is associated to the PaperCut database. So the first step, as you can see, it's to select which is the PaperCut database. We do next, then we tell to the installation which is the user as well for the IDOneTouch. Okay, so to be more simple, use the same user for our IDOneTouch database. Okay, you still have one specific option here, which could be nice to use. If you are installing in a PaperCut customer that is already using, for example, let's say, and this one is depending of the advanced config key that you are using in PaperCut. So if you never changed all the card serial numbers usually are stored on the primary card ID field in PaperCut. Okay, if you, for example, have changed the default advanced key to to use the secondary field for the self registration, then this option will use that will detect that specific advanced config key is using the second one, and will copy the information that is stored there. Okay, so this will be nice to not lose any kind of information in PaperCut for specific users that are already using or a card to do the authentication process on the multifunction device, or an ID number because it wasn't a card and it's a customer that don't have any kind of card reader, for example, but they are using, for example, ID numbers to do the authentication process on the device. Okay, so to not lose that kind of information, you can select that that specific one. You can check this option, and it will copy into our database to not lose and to keep using the user to use the information that was stored before. Okay, so let's create. Our database name is exactly like this. Here, it's when our installer will add the trigger on the TBL user, as I mentioned before. Let's install. This process you can do after the terminal manager startup, the first time that you will open the application itself. But if you already have the information at this specific moment, you can type it here. What's the purpose for this one? Especially it was had this little feature because of site servers. Okay, so when we are using, for example, the Wi-Fi readers, each time the user register a new fingerprint. Okay, so let's suppose a specific user register one fingerprint, a user ID is generated behind. Okay, for this user, and then PaperCut will the user will associate his fingerprint into his PaperCut account. So far so good until now. When he will do the second registration for another fingerprint, okay, because he wants to use, for example, two. PaperCut will not know that this is the same user because it will generate a new random user ID. When the user do the association process in PaperCut, that information is stored in our database immediately because of the trigger that is added in PaperCut, TBL user. Since we detect that information, oh, okay, it's the same user, so we need to update. Since you already have a user ID in our database, please update the information into PaperCut. Okay, so that's the way to keep always the same UID, always the same identification for the user. Okay, no matters how many fingers he has registered on the system. Okay, this will allow to have always the same information also on the site servers, and for customers that, for example, want to replicate the fingerprints on all the sites that maybe he has. Okay, if, for example, today I'm on the headquarters, and then I will go to the site. Hey, okay, my fingerprint is there. I can place my finger, and PaperCut will recognize because the local site server as well has the same information that is saved on the application server. Okay, so that's why we developed that little feature, which do the necessary change through PaperCut API. Okay, so we didn't have that information before, so we will do it now. Switch to English. As you know, it's on the token authentication is on the config editor in PaperCut, so you just need to type token, and then you can type whatever you want here, or the customer, in this case, can place the information he wants. Let's suppose ID one touch 1 2 3. Okay, update. So the server is, in our case, PaperCut app, port 9191, the token, and let's connect API. It's connected. Okay, so we don't need to do anything else. Just proceed, and database installation is done. Okay, so just to let you know, if we go here to IDOneTouch, I didn't show you before, but on the tables it was empty. Since we have done this process, we already have all the tables that we need. Okay, even after running the terminal manager the first time, there is some tables that will be done a little upgrade after the DB installation structure. Okay, so database is installed. Let's go now to the software itself. So here, same process. We will type the authentication for IDOneTouch now. As you can see, biometric database, IDOneTouch, save. And then here, by default, in lower cases, it's admin. Okay, you can still select other language that is available. If your language, for example, is not here, just let us know, and we will share you a web translate access to add your translation in our software on the next release. Okay, so you can still do. Remember me. Okay, so you can see IDOneTouch is running, not with the service yet, but we will do it in a quick seconds. So on the about section, you have some information about the terminal manager itself, how many readers you have in the software, which is also what you will also have here. It's database information if it's installed on the mode PaperCut or on standalone mode or another one. You also have the license status. By default, you have a trial mode like PaperCut. We have done it quick, quite simple like PaperCut here. So as soon as you install, you have 40 days to use the application. You also have a count statement where you can see information on the software that was added before. So you still don't have anything here. And to start service, you just go to options, service, and start. Okay, so service is running. We can add our reader that we have here at this moment. You can also create groups inside where you can add, for example, the customer name here. Let's do like this. And then we can add our readers by selecting the group we want. So let's suppose this one is my reader. I need to check the IP address. Okay, so IP address is this one. Connect and add. So reader was added to the list. We should see the information here on the service controller as well. Okay, so service is connected to our reader. We also have the serial number and some information about firmware as well on the first connection. Now, what we need to do is also to activate the license software. So for that, we provide you the customer name and that specific license key here, which will be an activation key on this case. If you have internet connection, you just need to press submit, and it will contact automatically our website without any issue. If some reason the customer doesn't allow internet connection, you can still type the information and you can submit, and it will generate a message that there is no internet connection if you want to generate a local file. So you still need to proceed with this one. It will generate a file on the desktop, and you need to send us that specific file in order to allow us to send you back a license file, which you will upload by pressing this button, the license to activate in offline mode. Okay. So on this case, we will apply a license. So this is the name and the activation key, and we just need to do submit. And if you have internet connection, this will automatically do the registration as successful. On this case, we are not able to connect to internet. That's the message that we usually have. If you want to generate an offline file, yes, let's do it. And it was generated here. So we will generate a license in the next seconds, and we will come back here. So license was generated. We have it here to upload to the system. We just need to press upload button and then go find the license file, open, and we have registration is successful. Okay, so to double check this, we can go to the about license, license status, and we have a full license, which has by default on this case for demonstration 12 credits. Okay. After that, we can only after that we can now redeem the reader credits. Okay, so if we go to this menu, we have our reader added to the system, which is ready to check if there is a credits available or not. If we do check, okay, we have an answer, okay, this reader has 12 credits to be redeemed yet. So we press the redeem button. And if you have internet access, which is the case, it was successfully redeemed. If you don't have any kind of internet access, it will also give you a similar message like the license one, which will tell you, okay, there is no connection, something like that, or it wasn't able to connect to reach our server. He will generate you also an offline file. You need to provide that file to us through email, for example, and then we will send you back the license file for the readers that you are reading all the credits. Okay, and then the last step will be similar to the license one. You just need to upload the file here, and he will automatically redeem all the credits that you have here on this specific section. Okay. So we can close this window, and if you want to see all the information about the credits that you have, if you go to the license touch, basically we have added 12 credits to the license itself from the readers that was redeemed. To see any kind of information about your licensing software, we can go to About, Account Statement. You can check since the first day, let's say, that was installed until today. You can show, and you have the first one, license credit for the software itself, which is this one, and then through API that was answered, so we didn't got the offline mode here, just to allow you to see the difference between offline and the online activation. You have the interface type through web API for this specific reader. If you have 10 readers, for example, that you have has redeemed all the credits, then you will see 10 lines, which each credit that you have on each reader, and at the end on the balance, all the credits available to have the software running. Okay. So for today, it was what was scheduled. Anything else, you can reach out by email. You have all the contacts on the screen at the moment, so please feel free to let us know any issue that you face on the installation process. Okay. Thank you. See you next time.